Alright, y'all. While I'm eating this motherfucking cheesecake, hashtag Biscoff cheesecake, I want y'all to understand. For months, we have watched the files drop. Millions of pages, thousands of images, a slow, painful drip of information regarding the late Jeffrey Epstein, quote unquote, and the network that surrounded him. The United Nations experts reviewed these documents and used a phrase that should stop us all cold. They said these acts, the trafficking, the abuse, the systematic torture of women and girls, may meet the legal threshold for crimes against humanity. But beyond this legal jargon, beyond the political theater in Washington, and beyond the partisan bickering over redactions, lies a much more uncomfortable truth. This scandal is not just a failure of the Department of Justice. It is a mirror reflecting the principles we have forgotten as a society. Hey, excuse me for using chat, but I just needed to put all this together so that I could formally say it to y'all, because I speak through ego and I speak with a lot of passion. So a lot of people, my wisdom may go over their heads because of the way how I'm saying it. But let's get right. We have become so accustomed to the game of power that we have normalized the abnormal. We have forgotten the basic tenets of humanity that bind us together. So here are 10 principles that we must remember. Principles that demand we look at the Epstein files not just as a news cycle, but as a lesson. Principle number 1, justice is not performance. We have forgotten that transparency without consequences is just a public relations stunt. Releasing files is not justice, accountability is justice. We have accepted the appearance of justice for so long that we forgot what the real thing looks like. Principle number 2, no one is above the law, and I mean nobody. It sounds cliche, but it is the bedrock of civilization. The United Nations experts reminded us that I think that's United Nations, but no one is too wealthy or too powerful to be above the law. Yet the greatest lesson from the Epstein saga is that power buys delay, redactions, and silence. We must remember that the law is not a shield for the powerful, it is a sword for the voiceless. Principle number 3, the protection of children is the ultimate test of a society. We have forgotten that society is judged by how it treats its most vulnerable. When we see documents detailing the abuse of girls, some as young as 9, we are seeing the result of a culture that commodified youth. We must remember that protecting innocence is not a political agenda. It is a human mandate. Principle number 4, complicity is guilt. We have forgotten that those who looked away, those who partied with the perpetrator, and those who facilitated the crime share in a moral decay. As one analysis put it, it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, according to the DOJ, but morally enabling a predator makes you part of the crime. Thanks. Principle number 5, institutions must serve the people, not themselves. The Department of Justice failed at every stage, from 1996, when the first known accusation was ignored, to the suspicious death of Epstein in custody. The system failed. We must remember that institutions are not meant to protect their own reputation, they are meant to protect us. Facts. Principle number 6, truth is not partisan. We have forgotten that facts exist outside of party lines. The release of these files was a battle between Republicans and Democrats, not a unified search for truth. We must remember that the truth belongs to the victims, not the political parties. Principle number 7, privacy for victims, sunlight for abusers. The Department of Justice failed here in the most egregious way. They redacted the names of the powerful while accidentally exposing the names of the victims. We must remember the principle of dignity. The victims deserve privacy and protection. The perpetrators deserve the light. Principle number 8, wealth does not equal worth. We have built a culture that worships billionaires. The Epstein files show what happens when the worship goes unchecked. A global criminal enterprise built on the commodification and dehumanization of women and girls. We must remember that a person's wealth says nothing about their character. Principle number 9, silence is the enemy of healing. For decades, survivors were silenced by fear and shame. We must remember that healing only begins when we create spaces where victims can speak. More importantly, where they are actually heard by those with the power to act. Principle number 10, we must demand moral courage. Finally, we have forgotten what courage looked like. And it is easy to be a pundit on the internet. It is hard to be the whistleblower. It is hard to be the investigator who goes against the grain. It is hard to be the politician who sacrifices power for principle. We must remember to reward moral courage, not political loyalty. I hope that y'all been listening, because this is just facts. I'm just trying to relay a message to y'all. Because this shit crazy. I've been saying this shit forever. I just ain't know that it would be Disney. I thought it was Nickelodeon. But the Epstein files are not just a dossier of a dead man. They're an autopsy of a society that lost its way. As we close this chapter and the news cycle moves on, the question still remains. Will we remember these principles, or will we forget them again until the next scandal forces us to look inside the mirror? The victims have waited decades for an answer, and it's time that we have gave them one. Thank you. I don't even fucking like cherries on the cheesecake though, bro. And I ain't gonna lie, this shit made me not like motherfucking cheesecake as much. I'm only eating this shit because my motherfucking mom asked me, and she said that shit for me. So I'm like, shit, she went out her way. It's gonna go to waste. But y'all have a good day. Stay blessed. Don't say blessing. You will never be less than. Right? I'm out. Stay tapped in. If you ain't, I don't really give a fuck though.